Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition, episode 41 of Sitting Courtside. Like always, it is your boy, Dante.
Hey, I'm Jerry.
Jerry is in a phenomenal mood today. So am I, because we are here back talking about the NBA Finals. We are here to talk about the Celtics taking a commanding 3-0 series lead over the Western Conference champions, the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving down 0-3 in the series to Boston. We will get into it. We will cover it. We'll break down games 1, 2, 3. But before we get to that, if you're on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe. Put in the comments, comment anything from this episode, any comments, concerns that you may have, whether you agree with what I'm about to say, disagree, think I'm a little bit off the rails, because I'm very excited. I had my coffee. I am just in a great mood right now, so make sure to do that. Check out our shorts as well, gamified content on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. If you are a podcast only listener, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating, review, all that good stuff. And Jerry, how are you doing today? How are you doing today? Tell me, talk to me. How you doing?
Not too shabby.
Siri answered for me.
What? Oh, Siri's answering for you. Not too shabby.
All right, I'm phenomenal, man. Let's enough about me though. I think that's all I have to say. I'm great. How are you, Dante? Nope, nothing.
I'm good. Weather is nice outside. Went to New York this weekend, trip with my girlfriend, saw a concert. Man, just living the dream. I can't really think of anything else anything good that has, happened to me over the last week since we've last. Oh, I forgot. I forgot. The Celtics are 1 win away from winning their 18th championship, their first championship since 2008. The Boston Celtics, that everyone has been saying had an easy path, was a super team, was this to that. Now Luka has no help. Now the Celtics, a lot of people were saying Mavs in 5, Mavs in 6, Mavs in 7. Now people are saying, oh, of course Celtics were supposed to win. They were the better team. People that were saying Mavericks had a deeper team. No, now they're saying Boston has too many good players. A lot of Jerry, I keep tabs on Twitter. Okay, there is a lot of people talking.
Okay, let's just let the record be known that I'm not.
I'm not saying it's you. I'm not saying it's you.
Right.
I'm just saying there's a lot of people that run their mouth on Twitter. Some keyboard warriors, as we call them, that like to run their mouths. But listen, enough about them. I'm not going to get all riled up right now. All right, it's a good day, Jerry. It's a good day to have a good episode. Let's talk about this. All right, let me bring it down a little bit. Let me get my Celtics bias out of here.
DT in the first 5 minutes of the show. We're not even 5 minutes into this thing. You're already ready to go off the road.
Rocking and rolling right now. All right. So, Boston Celtics up 3-0. Chance to sweep tomorrow night. We were filming on a Thursday. Usually we film on Wednesdays, but decided to push back to Thursday, so we were able to cover all 3 games. So by the time this episode comes out, it will be Friday, a little bit before Game 4. So we will be preparing to see what happens there. Celtics have a chance to close out in Dallas. If not, Game 5 will be in Boston on Monday. So we're going to break down each game and stuff like that. But before that, I want to go over some averages, some stats of the star players so far this series, just to give us a little base, something to go off of right here. So Jayson Tatum, who has been the talk of the NBA Finals for one reason or another, is averaging 21.7 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 7.3 assists. The third player in NBA history to average 27-7 in finals or their final stats, next to LeBron and Nikola Jokic. And he is doing that on 35.9% shooting from the field, 29.6 from 3, and 84.6 from the free throw line. Jaylen Brown, his counterpart, his running mate, 24.3 points, 6 rebounds, 5.7 assists, 2 steals, 1.3 blocks, shooting 55% from the field, 25 from 3, 70% from the free throw line. Those are the 2 main guys on Boston. Long-winded. We finish it up, then we'll get into the games. Luka Doncic averaging 29.7 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2.3 steals, 47% shooting, 32% from 3, 59% from the free throw line, which I didn't really know until I was putting these stats together. Not a great free throw performance from Luka. Kyrie averaging 21 points, 2.7 rebounds, 3 assists, on 40% from the field, 28.6 from 3, and 100% from the free throw line. Night and day free throw percentage difference. So those are the stats from the star players. Luka and Kyrie averaging a bit over 50 points. Jalen and Jayson averaging a bit under 50 points. Before we break down the games one by one, Jerry, I just want to get your thoughts. What you've seen so far from the finals from both teams, both pair of star players, tandems here. What has impressed you? What has disappointed you? Just talk to me. What have you observed so far?
I think what I could speak for all of America, all of the world here, that say we've seen nothing but an ass whooping, pretty much from the opening tip. It's not like the games have been put out of reach tremendously each night, but more so just the overall dominance that we're seeing from the better team, from that team that had the easier path, as your keyboard friends like to say.
Or they're not friends. Not friends.
But nah, just overall, I mean, it's just sheer dominance. Like it's easy to tell who the better team is, and we could see that at the start of the game every night. Even in Game 3, which we'll jump into, watching it last night, seeing how things were kind of breaking down. Yeah, the Mavs started off hot. They went on a 7-0 run. They were up 9-2. Luka's hitting good shots. Kyrie's actually getting involved on his way to another 30. Well, his first 30 ball of the series. His first game over 20 points that series. Like, it looked as if things were coming together. Dallas would even things out, take one at home this time, and then maybe win Game 4 or whatever. But now, after watching last night, that was just icing on the cake, and all it did was just emphasize in my mind that, yeah, Boston is head and shoulders the best team in the world. They're going to probably finish this thing in Dallas, but I kind of would have wanted to end in 5 just so they could be back at home. See how I'm one that really likes to see all the festivities and everything that happens in a home arena after winning a title. So kind of hoping that happens. But as for the individual players that you mentioned, Kyrie kind of took too long to get going here to figure things out. Drew Holiday and Derek White have done a masterful job on him, taking him out of sorts. Mm-hmm. Even his 30 points that he had last night, Drew Holiday still made it probably the most uncomfortable 30 ball I've seen from Kyrie all postseason long.
Sure.
As for Luka, yes, the free throws have been terrible, but I think his overall play, despite what the averages might say, I really haven't enjoyed watching him play at all. I think he whines too much. He's looking for a call every single possession. Yeah, he's done that most of the postseason, but I think the fact that he knows the circumstances of where he's at and they're not playing up to par, he's feeling it a little more. He fouled out last night.
Left of the game.
That happened.
Crying about it.
That hasn't happened to a superstar caliber player. I looked it up this morning. I forget. But it hasn't happened to a superstar in the finals in a long time. The last one, the biggest name in the last, let's say 8 to 9 years was Draymond Green when he got tossed out of the game, and with the whole 2016 fiasco. But I'm disappointed in what I'm seeing from Luka. I'll talk more shit about him later, but I'm really feeling a lot of James Harden vibes coming from Luka Doncic, and I think it's coming. The team overall in Dallas, also disappointed. I know Boston hasn't won a chip yet, but that will definitely change in the next 72 hours or so. They haven't won a chip. They have Drew Holiday, who's the only championship winner on the squad, but they're just more prepared. They're just ready, and you can tell the schemes, the destruction is in the detail with what they're doing on both sides of the ball. Targeting Luka and Kyrie and plenty of pick and roll.
Mazzulla deserves a lot of credit too. He's been doing a great coaching job this series, this postseason. Absolutely, but he's done a great job this series.
Absolutely, I think we don't, people don't talk about Joe Mazzulla enough. And yes, the dude is weird. Yes, he is unconventional.
He is weird.
Showing his team UFC videos before a game,
choking guys out.
Yeah, but you know what? Phil Jackson used to talk about Zen. I like all this other shit, right? Greg Popovich, I'm sure, had some weird things about him. The greatest coaches all have some weird ways to prepare or motivate their teams. So shout out to Joe for finding his own weird-ass muse. The dude's 35. It looks like he's going to be here for a long time. As for Boston, I'm going to keep this short so I can give you the floor here, but fantastic. Nearly flawless basketball. Yes, Jayson Tatum hasn't been the most accurate. I was making faces when you read off his percentages, but Jaylen Brown has been the emphatic, I got your back kind of moment. Like, it just
100%.
reminds me of watching, obviously not a style of play, but watching Kobe and Shaq as a duo just dominate series in the early 2000s, right? Where, hey, you can go get 30. And guess what? If you don't, I'm still going to take care of us. And our other guys will step up. You had Drew Holiday have a 26-point game in game 2, I believe. You had major contributions from Sam Hauser last night, who had 3 threes in the first half.
Big time. Big time. Yeah.
This team is deep. It does not revolve around their stars. I wouldn't even really call it a super team, but I will call it a very well put together team by Brad Stevens. So I tip my hat off to him as well. Boston, you are 2024 world champs in my mind already. So, floor is yours.
Well, no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit, but it ain't over to the fat lady sings.
156, Dante. 156.
Celtics came close last year. They came close last year being the first team to do it. But so let's break down every game here. So game 1, Boston wins 107-89. At one point, they were up by as much as 30, I believe. Yep. Mavericks made a comeback in that third quarter, fourth quarter. Celtics kept their foot on the gas, extended the lead, ends up winning by close to 20. Jayson Tatum had 16 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 for 16 shooting. So not the best, but not terrible. Kristaps, who first game back in over a month, had 20 points, 6 rebounds off the bench. Great first game back for him. Didn't look like he missed a step. Looked healthy, everything like that. Jaylen Brown, 22 and 6. Luka had 30 and 10. Kyrie had 12 on 6 for 19 shooting. Kyrie did not have a great game. I don't have Luka's percentages either, but he didn't shoot above 50%. He shot like almost 30 times. So it's going to be hard for him to shoot 30%. Boston closed that game out. Great team win. You had contributions from Derek White, Drew Holiday, everyone else. Game 1, great. Take game 1 in Boston. Game 2, Jayson Tatum follows up his performance with 18 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. 18 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds on 6 for 22 shooting. So, again, shooting, not quite there. I'm pretty sure he shot 1 for 7 from 3 this game, maybe 1 for 8, but he only hit 1 3 of this game. Jaylen Brown making up for it, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. Drew Holiday, which you mentioned earlier, huge game 2, 26 points, 11 rebounds, which really was – he was the catalyst this game. He was, I believe, the reason.
I think he shot over 60% in that game.
He was almost flawless that game. He was Drew Holiday, one of the best two-way players. I mean, even at his age, one of the best defenders in the league, but showing in the finals that he can do it on both ends as well. Drew had a massive game for Boston. At that point, after game 2, I was like, Drew, if the series ended right now, if it was a 2-game series, Drew Holiday's the finals MVP, 100%. On the other side of it, Luka had a triple-double, 32, 11, and 11. Kyrie had 16 points on 7 for 18 shooting, so yet again, another bad shooting game. Now, Celtics go up 2-0, I believe. Final score was 105-98, so single-digit win. Win's a win. Didn't blow them out or anything, but the story coming out of this was Jayson Tatum. Finished with 12 assists, which is great. One of the best playmaking games of his career. But he only had 18 points, 6 for 22 shooting. The ball, it was not finding the bottom of the net. Couldn't hit a 3, missing layups. Just not the strongest showing from Jayson Tatum shooting-wise in the finals. And that led to a lot of discourse on social media about how Jayson Tatum is this or that. How he's not a top whatever player. He's not a superstar. I've seen people tweeting out saying, like, this ring will mean nothing to Tatum's legacy because he's contributing nothing to the Celtics. And to that, I say, fuck you. Because, and like, listen, there is more to a game than just scoring. Yes, Jayson Tatum has high expectations. He is someone people consider a top 5 player in this league. He is fringe top 5 player. I think he is a top 10 player in this league. Absolutely confirmed. You have those expectations, right? You want him to score high 20s, low 30s a game. That's when you're leading a team, those are the numbers you expect. But again, this is the way that the Celtics are designed. They're built. It's a team game. You have multiple guys that can go for 20, even 30 a night. Jayson Tatum shots not falling. So what does he do? He makes up on the playmaking side of things. 12 assists. Drew Holiday, I think, benefited like 5 or 6 assists from Jayson Tatum alone. So, a lot of his points, good amount of his points, his looks came from Jayson Tatum. And, exceptional on both sides of the ball. He was making great plays down the stretch on the defensive side of things, doing what he could to make up for his lack of shooting. And then, Jaylen Brown had his piece. Kristaps did play this game also, but he got hurt at the end of the game. I'm not even going to bother pronouncing what his injury was. It is an ankle/foot injury.
Retinaculum.
There it is. Yeah.
Retinaculum.
And there's a tendon in there that got torn off, that was dislocated, connected to something. A lot of mumbo jumbo. A lot of things. An injury that is very rare, which I was very confused when they came out with a diagnosis because they said it was day-to-day, but it was also a rare and serious injury. So I'm like, what? How can it be rare and serious, but also day-to-day? I don't think he will be playing the series. He didn't play last night, Game 3. I can't imagine he'd play in Game 4. But before we get into Game 3 and all that stuff, I kind of want to – what were your thoughts, with Jayson Tatum? After the Game 2 performance, they go up 2-0. He's not having the best scoring series. He's I think there was a stat. It was like, all NBA players, first-team players out of the last X amount of years, lowest field goal percentage in the finals.
Yeah.
All these different stats being thrown around. What was going through your head about Jayson Tatum? Were you let down by him? Were you impressed that he was able to, still contribute and be exceptional in other ways to affect the game besides shooting? Or what was your mindset there?
No, yeah, definitely not let down. I mean, at the end of the day, they took care of home court. They took care of business. Despite him shooting the way that he shot, he still contributed to the game in other ways. And plus, he was still playing defense on their 2 best players. And also, another chess move that Joe Mazzulla did was by putting him on the lob man for Dallas. So that would be Lively, that'd be Gafford, that'd be Derrick Jones, to really just protect the rim, to prevent those easy baskets because, hey, Dallas's source of offense most of these playoffs has been easy lob plays around the rim to really suck the soul out of a building, to just, all right, the 3 didn't go down, I'll drive, penetrate, lob it up to Lively, lob it up to Gafford or whatever. So Tatum did everything else but be efficient. And I think that's really taking him out of the category where I'm not trying to disrespect any of these guys, but a Carmelo Anthony who's known for just getting buckets, right? A James Harden who's known for just getting buckets. That takes Tatum in a different category. Hey, yes, I can score, but there's other ways I can impact the game. Not saying that James Harden wasn't a great playmaker. Not saying that Melo wasn't a good rebounder, but Tatum's doing it all. But it's because the team's also great. So there's no real pressure for this man to go out and drop 30. I think it's totally fine. So I'm right there with you. For anybody that's talking shit about Tatum and how he's playing, fuck you, because you don't know the game. You got to break it down the way that makes sense.
There's more to it, more to the game than scoring. All those people box score analysts, we call them. I think it was after, what was it? Yeah, it was after last night's game when they went up 3-0. Tatum was on the NBA TV coverage with Charles Barkley, Grant Hill, a few other guys. And they asked him, they talked to him about, his scoring, because we'll get into Game 3 in a second and the stats there. But Jayson Tatum said earlier in your career, you get all the points and the stats, but then they say you haven't won. Now you're in a position to win a championship, and now you're not scoring enough. So it's like you can't please everyone. It's like it's always something. Yeah. It's like, oh, you're doing this and that. You're being selfish, which is, you're not winning anything. You got to win. Now you're in a position to win. It's like, oh, you need to be doing more and stuff. Like, again, I get the expectations of Tatum being a top player, holding them to standards. But it's like, again, scoring is one part of the game. And when you're on a team as good as this team right now, luckily for him, if he's having a bad scoring night, he has guys that can, that can take care of it and can make up for it. And then that's where people bring in the whole super team thing in that, which I don't like it being called a super team. If we're being honest, Jerry, if you look at this team compared to the 2022 team, there aren't many glaring differences except for the fact that we have Drew Holiday and 2 games of Kristaps, and we don't have Robert Williams or Marcus Smart anymore. The rest of the team is virtually the same almost.
But here the difference is, obviously Drew Holiday is a better version of what Marcus Smart was.
100% for sure.
But it's also 2 more years to be more
More
seasoned to
experience.
marinate, right?
Them getting that finals loss could have been the best thing to happen to them because
Maybe.
experience is the greatest teacher, and they
But
had
I think even in that Warriors series in 2022, like, yeah, we even said it. Boston is a more talented team. They should have won that finals. We could agree to that all day.
Mhm.
But Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum just look even better, more comfortable being in the space that they're in right now. Because this is what, year 5, year 6 of them playing with one another, to where I know this guy like the back of my hand. And now Derek White was just implemented in Golden State at that time, like in that
yeah,
series,
he just got traded for it. He didn't play much of that series, so it wasn't an impactful player that series.
So he just gets there, not even a full season in the system, but definitely a seamless fit of where Derek White's going to be an impactful player for years to come. But yeah, 2 years go by. He learns Mazzulla's system, even though Udoka was the coach for that little stint, whatever. Mazzulla's on the staff. He knows exactly what he has. And then, again, you trade out Marcus Smart and add in Drew Holiday. That's an upgrade. Sam Hauser's actually playing more minutes now. Peyton Pritchard's a better bench player because the questions about Boston was, hey, I know 1 through 5 or 1 through 6, they're great. From Tatum to Al Horford to KP, whatever. But who's going to be the bench? Who's going to step up? Guess what, guys? The rotation shrinks in the playoffs, which is why Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser do play, and they play their big minutes, and they swap out with the other wing players. Like, everything is just – it looks more like a well-oiled machine.
And I agree with that. And I think the point I was trying to make wasn't more so of like – it's just more so defending the whole super team thing where it's like it's just a well-oiled machine. It's all pieces that fit together. You have a group of guys that just straight up want to win and will commit to their role. They're not selfish. Tatum and Brown have proven that they're not selfish stars. Yeah. They're stars. They can – if they wanted to, they can go out and get 30 on their own, and they could – be selfish, take every shot. They could do that, but they're not. They know the position that they're in. They know the team that they have around them. And it's like you draft this team that Tatum and Brown have been together since 2017. Jaylen Brown was drafted in 2016, Tatum 2017. They've had numerous different teams around them that they've tried to implement different guards. I mean, Kyrie, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart was the starting point guard. They, gave him the starting point guard position. They had so many different types of lineups and teams. Al Horford left for a little bit, then he came back. And now they found, the pieces that fit. Listen, Derek White was just sitting there in San Antonio. Drew Holiday was traded from Milwaukee, which is looking like, I know there isn't that much of a sample size here, but like looking like a boneheaded move by Milwaukee, getting rid of your glue.
What's trending right now on Instagram that I've been seeing for Damian Lillard's new nickname is Lame Time.
Yeah. Terrible. Yeah. You hate to see that. I haven't been seeing that. That's terrible. Kristaps was sitting in Washington. They went out and got them. Brad Stevens orchestrated. He just put this team together piece by piece. And that's how you create a championship roster. They built around, they stayed consistent, they remained patient with Jayson and Jaylen, and this is the result. I don't see what the issue is. Jaylen and Jayson have gone through their ups and downs. They've had a successful 7 years together, successful start to their careers with the Eastern Conference appearances. They have the individual stuff, the All-NBA teams, the All-Star games, all this and that. But the one thing that was eluding them was a championship. And now they finally put together a team that works, that complements them, and all of a sudden it's this and that, listen, anybody would love to have the team that the Celtics have, and if they did, they wouldn't be complaining about it. So it was just a well put together team. It's not a super team. I mean, a lot of great players, former All-Stars, this and that, but besides the point. That was all going off of the fact that Jayson Tatum has people there to support him. My lights turned off. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Hold on. 1 second, guys. There it is. Okay. Jayson Tatum has a lot of support. When he doesn't have a good scoring night, he has people there to help make up for it. Now it's going to game 3. Last game last night. Jayson Tatum responds to all that. the 31-point game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Jaylen Brown, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. The first Celtics duo in NBA Finals history to each put up 35 and 5 in a single game. Luka Doncic finished with 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Fouls out with 4 minutes left in the game. Kyrie had 35, you mentioned earlier. First game more than 20 points in this series, but it was an uncomfortable 35 for Kyrie. He was getting hounded on by Derek White and Drew Holiday all night. Even Derek Lively, I threw him in there, had 11 points, 13 rebounds off the bench, kept things competitive. Celtics were up by as much as 21 at the start of the fourth quarter. Mavs came back. We were texting each other. You sent me the gif of the horse being beat up. It's like, wait a minute. Mavs came back, got to within 1. Celtics ended up closing out, winning by 7. But Tatum had a bounce back game. Shot 11 for 26, not the best shooting percentages, but had a good scoring game to kind of put all that to rest. But the story of this was Luka Doncic, honestly. Celtics going up 3-0. Luka Doncic fouling out. His defense has been miserable this series. It's been absolutely miserable. And you can talk so much about how gifted he is on offense, and he is. Man, he could go down as one of the greatest scorers that the league has ever seen. And Brian Windhorst went off on him last night.
Crazy.
When I talk about did not hold back, he had a lot to say about Luka Doncic. He went scorched earth on Luka.
I don't think I've ever heard of somebody call another person a hole on defense. A cone is one thing. A cone is hilarious.
I've heard that a few times, but a hole.
A hole. Just like Brian Windhorst called him a hole on national television, on SVP. He called him a hole on defense.
He was like, this offseason, he needs to have somebody to mentor him and get in his head about, being a leader and being this and that. Because he goes, obviously he has no one in his life right now that tells him these things. Complaining to the refs. I mean, I hate to be that guy because Jayson Tatum does his fair share of complaining. I feel like whenever he drives to the basket and finishes a layup or misses a layup, he's always putting his all stars do it. But Luka, it's like, fouls out and immediately looks at his bench and goes, review that shit, challenge that shit, whatever. Like, bro, it's like you have 5 fouls. You have to be playing conservatively, and you're just throwing yourself around like that, playing careless, and it affects your team. Because once he went out of the game, yes, they cut it to 1. Once Luka was out of the game,
it was over.
I mean, that was it. That was it. As close as it got, it was over. They had no Luka to help them finish out that game. You can even see the refs were like trying to talk to him, all the times he was. The refs did let them play last night. There was a few fouls there, but they were letting them play last night. Luka just wouldn't stop complaining. I'm surprised the refs never teed him up at one point. But yeah, I mean, you just saw what looked like a star player just give up, and then post game press conference, all this and that. He's blaming the refs. He's blaming this and that, not taking any accountability, which is something that you would like to hear from your star player and stuff, taking responsibility, this and that, but didn't quite hear it. Jason Kidd said he needs to get better on defense and all that. What are your overall thoughts? I mean, we have a graphic here of blow-by percentage allowed on drives in a series the last 10 years, which I don't know if we have anything else to compare this to. We talked about this before. We've never seen anything like this.
It's insane. Like I said off cam, I was really I'm very interested to see what James Harden's stats look like for this.
Yeah.
In the Rockets runs, or what Carmelo Anthony's does back with the Knicks or with the Nuggets. I've 100%. Never seen anything like it before for an analytic like this.
They got it for Luka. Minimum 10 drives per game defended in the last 10 years. The top 3 are all Luka from the Celtics series, the Clippers series, and the Thunder series. He's allowing a 67.7 blow-by percentage this series against Boston. Brian Windhorst was being very blunt and maybe a little bit mean about it, but he has been a hole on defense. It's been 4-on-5. They're targeting Luka every time down the floor. They know he's a liability on defense.
And half the problem is too. Half the problem is too, after shots, he's missing these deep-ass threes and he's falling. Then the whole play is developing down the court, and you're still laying down on the other end. And I get it. sometimes you do take a hit, sometimes you do get fouled, but stop having a bad attitude about it. Get your ass up and go get back on defense and see what you can do. Plus, before we really do dive in, I do have this stat I wanted to read out that even though Luka did foul out of game 3, which I think it was like 3 minutes left and the game got put out of reach, he hasn't been good in the fourth quarters in general.
No.
He only has 8 points in 3 NBA Finals games in the fourth quarter with 4 turnovers, 4 fouls, and he's only shooting 20% from the field, and he's 0 for 4 from deep. So
listen, man, all I ask is that we have conversations about Luka this offseason. Not showing up in the finals. Just like, again, his stats, you look at the box scores, his numbers are going to look good. Mm-hmm. But, like, we need to hold him accountable. If they want to make it back here, they want to win a championship one day, Luka needs to mature. He needs to be better.
Hey, I opened up the discourse for Luka last series where, hey, it might be time to call this guy probably the best player in the league, right? After what he was doing. But he actually looked better defensively, despite the blow-by stats in that Western Conference final series.
Hey, that's not on there. That's not top 3. Could be 4, but it's not top 3.
You're right. But either way, I think I was ready to start having conversations about this man to be, number 1. Maybe we don't put him at 3 or 4 anymore. Maybe we could say he's number 1. Now it's like, I think I'm good with leaving you at that 3 to 6 range and have a Giannis, have a Jokic in front of you because at least Giannis is the best two-way player in the league today. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, I think that's a fact for sure.
Jokic might not be able to lock you down on defense, but he's big enough in this era to where he could be effective and still get in the way of plays, and he moves his feet better.
They're not going to target him.
No,
they're not going to target him on defense.
And When
was the last time we saw a superstar player get targeted like Luka Doncic in an NBA Finals game?
In an NBA Finals game?
NBA Finals series, I guess you can say.
Probably Steph. It'll be Steph Curry in those Cavs Warriors matchups because Kyrie obviously had the big shot on him, but
sure
you don't want Klay Thompson on you.
You don't see it often.
You don't.
You don't see it often. Star players at the caliber of Luka, someone like Luka,
it's more
getting so exposed on defense. Again, amazing offensive player. He can create anything he wants on offense. He has every tool, every skill when it comes to offense, but it's the defense that's going to always be holding him back.
It is more common for guards to be targeted, like point guards. Right. I know Luka's technically a point guard, but he's 6'7", 6'8", so I don't look at it the same way. Mm-hmm. And when it's somebody of that big, and it's not like Luka can't move, right? You see what he does on offense. He gets low. He breaks down. He steps back. He does all these different moves, and he looks like a decent athlete where he could show you the burst that he has on offense. Apply that same effort to defense. You're just not trying.
Yeah, he just doesn't care. That's the issue. It just doesn't seem like he cares enough to put in the same effort that he does on offense on defense, which is, the saying is defense wins championships. And the Boston Celtics, I'm pretty sure, have held the Dallas Mavericks to right around 100 points every single game this series. And the Mavericks defense hasn't been, besides Luka, they've held the Mavericks to less than 100 points every single game this series. The Mavericks haven't scored over 100 points once. The Celtics, haven't reached over 110, for one of the best offensive teams ever. That's low for them. The defense on the Mavs side overall hasn't been terrible. It's just the glaring black hole that is Luka Doncic on defense. That's unfortunately holding them back and allowing, the Boston to score at will against him. So,
that's why what Brian Windhorst said was not, sure, call it mean if you want to. If you're soft, I think you call it mean if you're Luka, but I see no lies.
I'm curious to see what his response if they ask him about it today. I'm curious to see what he'll say in response to Brian Windhorst.
Yeah. Hey man, well, if you're Luka, play better game 4 because there hasn't been a whole lot of sweeps in the last few years in the NBA Finals, and you're going to add yourself to that list.
The Celtics right now, too, failed to mention earlier, are on a 10-game winning streak, have not lost since May 9th. And right now they're 15-2 in the postseason. Could go down as one of, I believe, only 4 or 5 teams in history to lose 2 games or less in a postseason run. So we're
Lakers
just
are
seeing,
one of those teams.
the Lakers are one of those teams. We're just seeing dominance. We're just seeing straight up dominance. I feel like we answered the question. Do you think the Mavs can come back this series? No. You don't think anything changes?
Me being modest is giving them one game, giving them game 4, and I still think it'll be close. Part of me thought they played the start of game 3 perfectly.
Yeah, no, they did 100%.
Attack the basket because
they're up 25-9 at one point, I think.
Yeah, there was no Kristaps, there's no shot blocker. Attack the paint. They did all the right things. Then they started to settle. And plus, I thought the saying was role players play better at home. Derek Lively's the only role player that really showed up.
Yeah.
PJ
Washington had a few threes, hit a few corner threes.
That's supposed to be their third leading scorer, and he's still ineffective. He's been ineffective all series long.
Yeah.
And
that was his biggest game. That was his best game in the finals.
Yeah. The funny part about all of this, everybody's so young out there in Dallas. I don't want to use age as an excuse because once you get here, you get here. But Jason Kidd played 11 different guys in the first half. This is the NBA Finals.
Yeah, you got to tighten up that rotation. Yeah.
Seven people.
He also called a timeout in the middle of their 20-2 run last.
Yes!
I don't know.
I didn't mean to get that loud, but yes.
I don't know what the deal with that was. I mean, Jason Kidd is a good coach. I'm not trying to but he's a good coach, but he's made some weird decisions this finals. He's definitely made some odd calls here. I mean, we'll see. I mean, listen, again, no team has ever come back from 3-0. Being a Celtics fan, listen, I've had my heart broken many times with this team over the 16 years that I've been watching them. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not getting my hopes up whatsoever. But I said Celtics in 5, but them being up 3-0, it's just something about being down 3-0. That's so demoralizing for a team. The confidence. I'm not in that locker room, man. Of course, you're going to remain confident and stuff.
There's doubt.
There's doubt. There is doubt in their head now. They lost. I mean, game 1, it was Celtics were up by a lot. Mavericks came back, couldn't close it out, still lost. Game 2 was close. Mavericks were up in the first quarter, ended up losing, close game. Then last night, came back in the fourth. Luka does his thing. No Kristaps, and you still can't beat.
Imagine game 3 being your best shot. Your puncher, this is my best hook.
Mm-hmm.
And we still lost the game by...
Because you win game 3, then you win game 4, and it's 2-2 series. And it's best of 3. It's a different series, but...
I don't know. I would love to see Dallas gain some momentum. Because, hey, you do take one game, you start to build...
One game at a time. One game at a time, for sure.
Look,
for sure.
You mentioned your Celtics did it last year against the Heat.
They did.
Conference Finals, where...
100%.
Hey, you took one game. Oh, wow. Again, we're the better team. Why are we here right now? Not saying Dallas is. But if I'm Luka, if I'm Kyrie, if I'm the rest of the Dallas Mavericks, what I could say, maybe we're not the better team. But what I could say is that we have 2 of the better players that can duel with those guys. And all I need to do is step up. If I'm PJ Washington, if I'm Derek Lively, I don't know. So I've been in an NBA locker room, but never been a player in an NBA locker room before in the NBA Finals. So nobody probably in America sees them crawling out of this hole that they dug themselves in. So good luck, brothers.
We'll see what happens. I know it would be nice to see Boston win on their home floor, but at the same time, I do think there is some satisfactory feeling of winning it on an opposing team's floor in front of their fans too.
Hey,
so we'll
look at this trophy. Looks good, doesn't it?
Hey, yeah, looks good. Looks good, Dallas fans. Doesn't it's coming home with us. We kind of alluded to this earlier. I'm going to still ask. I think we're on the same page here. Do you think Jaylen Brown's the Finals MVP right now? If the series ended, has a good game 4, do you think he is the Finals MVP, or do you think it's going to go to someone else?
Let's say both guys drop 30 in a closeout game in game 4 here. I would definitely say that Jaylen Brown would get it. But if Jaylen Brown misses the hitch just a little bit, yes, he's averaging more points, but he's not averaging more rebounds and assists. But he's more efficient. If Tatum has a big game in his closeout game and Jaylen Brown has, let's say, 18, 19 points, I could see the media saying, Jayson Tatum, he finally showed up. He's the guy. He's been here all along. Which, Okay, I'm cool with. I don't really care who wins it at this point, but
I think Tatum has leverage no matter what over Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown needs to have he needs to score more, and he probably needs a similar game where he fills up the stat sheet like how he did in Game 3 to actually secure it and wrap it up.
I'm with you. I think it really does come down to who plays better in Game 4. I mean, the stats are so close. Tatum's averaging more assists and rebounds. Brown is averaging almost 3 more points on more efficient shooting.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of Brown winning too. I mean, because comes in, gets booed on draft night. Has always been in trade rumors. Got benched. Second year of Kyrie. Signs a huge extension. People thought he was overpaid then. Signs the biggest contract in NBA history last offseason. Gets clowned for it. Can't dribble with his left hand. And less than a year later, wins a Finals MVP. I think that would be a storybook. That would be just a stamp on Jaylen's just legacy and proving people wrong. I would like to see Jaylen Brown get that recognition, but at the same time, I understand and wouldn't be upset if Tatum.
I don't care who wins it, honestly.
Split the trophy. Let one get half, one get the other. I don't care.
Yeah.
They won't do it, but we'll see. Whoever comes, if the Celtics win in 4 games, if they win next game, it comes down to who has the better performance.
It's over.
We shall see. So that's enough finals commentary here. You wanted to talk a little bit about the Los Angeles Lakers in their pursuit of a head coach offered a contract to UConn's Dan Hurley, a 6-year deal, I believe $70 million, and he declines it to go back to UConn. Apparently he's negotiating another contract with them to stay for an X amount of years. Less money I've seen, but there's no details, no concrete details yet. And now they're reshifting their focus, the Lakers, on looking at another head coach. Right now they're going to formally interview JJ Redick, and we'll see where it goes from there. But Jerry, this is your time, brother.
Time for what?
Time to give us the tea. What's going on? Spill the tea, sis.
I have no tea to spill, man. I just, there was a part of me once I seen Dan Hurley's name pop up for him to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers that I begin to get okay with that idea. Winning a 2-time national champ, obviously back-to-back, has developed a lot of good young players, which the Lakers haven't been able to do so much other than Austin Reeves.
That was a big reason why they were looking at him too.
This was a move post LeBron. And that's a move that I appreciated. That, hey, you know what? We're gonna get a good coach, a guy that we know can command the respect of the room based on what he did. And look what other college coaches did whenever they did make that jump. Billy Donovan might not be that great of a coach right now in the eyes of many, but when he took over OKC, they went to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the Golden State Warriors after a meltdown. So, still, he got deep. He did what he had to do. Brad Stevens, same thing. Came in,
Brad Stevens
did a good job with the Celtics. I anticipated Dan Hurley possibly having a similar kind of impact with us, but just wasn't in the cards. I think he uses us as leverage, despite what he says. I know he denied it, but he got a $50 million deal to stay with UConn, which was about $20 million more than what he was going to get this season. So, shout out to Dan Hurley for getting himself paid. I'm not mad at it, but
I respect the man for chasing the bag.
Absolutely.
And he also wants to build a legacy, a dynasty in UConn. Become the first team to go back to back to back.
There's a different type of feeling, I feel like, when you get to dominate the college ranks the way that he potentially can. And especially with the transfer portal being a thing, him going back to back to back will be excellent. And maybe he can go down as the greatest college basketball coach ever with multiple championships. So we'll see. As for JJ being the possible head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Back on the JJ train.
I was never on it for him to be that man for the Lakers. I for one, don't think that rookie head coaches don't get a lot of wiggle room to mess up, to screw around, other than Jamal Mosley, because he actually made it out and made Orlando, a playoff contender, possibly for years to come. We'll see how they develop, but that's the only guy in recent memory that actually lasted despite having terrible records in his first couple years. So this is LA. This is the bright lights.
Yeah.
You don't have that much runway for your plane to really take off. when you're here. And Frank Vogel won a championship, got fired. Darvin Ham goes to the Western Conference Finals. Blank clipboard or not, he still got us to the Western Conference Finals. He gets fired after losing to the defending NBA champions in 5 games, who everybody thought was going back to the finals. So, not saying Darvin Ham was the greatest coach, but did he really deserve to get fired?
Now he's back in Milwaukee.
Back in Milwaukee on Doc staff now. So, I mean, look, he got a job real quick. He got to be likable. Damn it, he has to be. So, for JJ to possibly get this interview, this possibility, like, I don't know. Then it's James Borrego as well. That's going to be one of the names that LA possibly brings in. So, I just don't know what to think anymore, Dante. I really don't. I don't even know if LeBron's a Laker. Is he coming back?
Really?
That's not a guarantee.
Really? We're having those thoughts now.
I'm in no man's land. I'm just I don't know.
I think Brian Windhorst said it. He goes, these podcasts with LeBron were like tests, were like the coaching interviews, kind of. But all right, we'll see what happens. I think a lot. We'll learn a lot after the season ends for its interview, see how that goes. And yeah, we'll go from there, Jerry. But yeah, so that's all we got. We do want to touch on one more topic before we close out here. Yesterday, the NBA world lost one of the greatest basketball icons, not even player, just basketball geniuses, someone that's been around the game of basketball his entire life. Jerry West, the logo. Rest in peace.
Where I got my name from?
Two Jerrys, two goats right here. Jerry West and Jerry.
Oh. Hey.
Listen, Jerry, you're the goat. Jerry West, age 86, passed away. Just, seeing all the tributes being poured out for him. I mean, he was one of the most well-respected guys in the NBA world, in the basketball world. Did so much on and off the court. I have a list of all his accomplishments here. It's a lot of them, so bear with me. He was an NBA champion, the only Finals MVP on a losing team, a 14-time All-Star. He was an All-Star every single year that he played. 9 Finals appearances. Highest points per game in a Finals series, 46.3 points. Had a scoring and assist title, 12-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Defense, 2-time Executive of the Year, and this is where we get into his off-the-court accomplishments. 8 rings as an executive. He helped put together the Kobe and Shaq dynasty. He traded for Shaq, or signed Shaq, and then traded for Kobe Bryant on draft night within a week of each other, which is probably one of the best weeks ever for an executive for a team. Helped to build the Showtime Laker teams. Also helped build the Warriors dynasty with KD and Clay and Steph and everyone. And obviously, without being said, he is the logo. He will always be cemented, as an all-time great and icon. Rest in peace, Jerry West. One of the greatest to ever, play basketball, to shape these basketball teams. His fingerprints are going to be left on this game for the rest of time. Between NBA, between Bill Walton and Jerry West, lost 2 iconic figures. It's hard, man. Rest in peace, Jerry West. Condolences to his family.
Yeah, and plus we didn't mention it, but he did put those Clippers squads together. He got Kawhi
to
come. He got Paul George to come. Plus, something that doesn't get a lot of love, what he did for the Memphis Grizzlies by bringing in an old Hubie Brown, who they thought was over the hill and couldn't coach anymore. He got Pau Gasol over there, and the Grizzlies go from winning 20 games to winning 40 to 50.
Yeah.
That doesn't get talked about. I know the Grizzlies didn't win any chips, but that just goes to show the man knew about players. He knew how to build the roster together. Despite not playing the game anymore, he still had probably the best view from up top to see everything and how to put teams together. So the game lost a great one, not just a great player like you mentioned, but I'm sure a great teammate, a great coach at one point for the Showtime Lakers, a great executive.
Absolutely.
So I don't think enough could be said about the impact that Jerry West had on the game. So it's just sad to see another legend go, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Condolences to the West family. I'm sure, it's late in the season now, but I can imagine maybe next year they'll do some sort of commemorative, patches.
Got to.
There's going to be some sort of tribute the NBA will do next year. But rest in peace, Jerry West. condolences to him and his family. And that is where we are going to end it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Sitting Courtside, episode 41. We are climbing. We are getting there. 10 episodes away from a full year, Jerry. Our 1 year anniversary is coming up.
Woo!
In a few months. So we're getting there. Thank you guys.
Back then.
We'll have to go back, review the tapes. We'll have to do a episode 1 to where we are now. If you guys are on YouTube, please make sure to like, subscribe, put in the comments any thoughts, opinions, whatever from what we talked about this episode. If you're an audio only listener, 5-star review, 5-star rating, review, all that good stuff. We appreciate any support that you guys give us. Check out our shorts, gamified content here on YouTube as well. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Our socials, you know where to find it. And until episode 42, I mean, maybe we'll be talking about maybe we'll talk about the Celtics at the NBA champions. Maybe we'll be talking about the series going another few games. We'll see where we are at next week. But until then, peace.